He said he didn't want to marry a feminist, so I told him that's misogyny and he dumped me anyway. So this guy literally just threw away the best thing that ever happened to him because he couldn't handle dating a woman with actual principles. I'm Scarlett, I'm 28, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how someone can just flip like that after 8 months together. 8 months of what I thought was building something real, something meaningful. And then he just decides my core beliefs are too much work for him to deal with. I met Grayson at a friend's game night back in January. He was 30, had his life together, worked in some corporate thing with shipping or logistics or whatever, and he seemed so different from all the immature guys I'd been wasting time with. He actually listened when I talked, always insisted on paying, even though I work in healthcare administration and can handle my own bills, and never once made me feel bad about being passionate about important issues. For the first time in forever, I thought I'd found someone who could appreciate a strong, independent woman instead of being intimidated by her. The early months were honestly perfect. He'd pick me up for dates, we'd have these great conversations about everything, and he never shut me down when I talked about things that actually matter. I've always been pretty vocal about women's rights and social justice. It's literally who I am as a person. I share educational content on Facebook, I'm active in online communities discussing feminism and equality, and I've never been the type to stay quiet when I see injustice happening. That's just basic human decency, right? Standing up for what's right shouldn't be controversial. Grayson seemed totally fine with all of this initially. He'd even like my posts sometimes and never argued when I explained how systemic oppression actually works. I really thought I'd finally found a guy who wasn't threatened by dating someone with actual convictions and the courage to speak up about important issues. When I'd show him articles about dismantling oppressive systems or call out misogyny when we encountered it, he'd just nod along. I figured he was processing everything and learning, which honestly was refreshing after dealing with so many toxic guys who couldn't handle basic education about equality. We started talking about moving in together around month 6, maybe getting a bigger place than my one-bedroom apartment. I was so excited because everything felt like it was heading somewhere permanent. We even discussed marriage in general terms, what we both wanted long-term, our values, our goals. I really believed we were building towards something beautiful together, something based on mutual respect and shared principles about making the world a better place. But now I realize he was probably just telling me what he thought I wanted to hear the whole time. Men are so good at pretending to be something they're not until they think they have you hooked, and then they show their true colors when they decide the work is too hard. It's honestly disgusting how they can lie to your face for months, acting supportive of your beliefs, and then suddenly decide they can't handle being with someone who actually stands for something meaningful. Looking back, there were probably signs I should have caught earlier, like how he never really engaged deeply with the important topics I brought up, or how he'd always try to steer conversations toward lighter, more surface-level stuff. I thought he was just more laid back than me, but apparently he was silently judging everything I believed in and just waiting for the right moment to reveal how he really felt. What kind of person does that? Who spends 8 months pretending to respect someone's core values and then decides they can't handle it anymore? He could have saved us both time by being honest from the beginning about what kind of woman he actually wanted. Instead, he let me believe we had a future while secretly deciding that fighting for basic human rights was too much drama for his comfortable little life. The whole thing just proves everything I've been saying about how men handle relationships. They want all the benefits of being with a strong, intelligent woman but none of the responsibility that comes with actually supporting her growth and activism. I should have known better than to think I could find a man who was actually secure enough to handle being with someone like me. Most guys talk a good game about wanting an independent woman, but the moment you show them what that actually looks like in practice, they run back to seeking someone more manageable and easygoing, someone who won't challenge them to examine their privilege or grow as human beings. The most frustrating part is how he made it seem like this was just some incompatibility we discovered instead of acknowledging that he was the one who changed. I've been consistent about who I am and what I believe from day one. He's the one who decided my principles were suddenly too inconvenient for his vision of what our relationship should look like. But of course, in his mind, I'm probably the difficult one for refusing to make myself smaller for his comfort. Things started getting weird around month 7, but I was too trusting to see the pattern developing. Grayson began making these little comments that felt off, but he'd always frame them as jokes so I couldn't call him out without seeming overly sensitive. Like when I shared an article about toxic masculinity on Facebook, he saw it and made some dismissive comment about how some people take this stuff way too seriously. When I asked what he meant by that, he just laughed it off and said he was kidding. But something about his tone felt different, colder, somehow. The first real incident happened at his friend Trevor's place during a casual get-together with his social circle. I was having a conversation with some of the other women there about workplace discrimination, and this one girl, honestly, kind of a basic pick-me type who probably thinks feminism went too far decades ago, kept trying to argue that we don't need women's rights movements anymore because, apparently, everything's equal now. I couldn't just sit there and let that level of ignorance slide, so I took the time to educate her about how systemic oppression actually works and gave her some real facts about wage gaps and glass ceiling effects that are still happening today. The whole time I'm explaining these important concepts, Grayson is just sitting there looking uncomfortable, instead of backing me up or supporting the educational conversation. Here I am doing the emotional labor of teaching people about issues that affect half the population, and my own boyfriend can't even be bothered to show solidarity. Later in the car, he actually had the nerve to tell me I'd been a little intense and maybe I should have just let the misinformation go since we were guests in someone's home. I was like, excuse me? Since when is educating people about basic human rights being intense? These aren't matters of opinion we're discussing, these are documented facts about how oppressive systems operate in our society. He tried to backtrack and said he just meant we were there to have fun, not debate politics. But here's what he didn't understand. Calling out injustice isn't politics, it's basic moral responsibility. The fact that he couldn't see the difference was honestly the first major red flag that should have told me everything I needed to know about his character. Around this same time, I started noticing he was acting weird about my online activism. I'm pretty active on Reddit and various feminist communities because silence is complicity, and I regularly share educational content on Facebook to raise awareness about important issues. But he started making these passive-aggressive comments about how much time I spent arguing with strangers on the internet. When I explained that it's called activism and using your platform to make a difference, he'd just do this dismissive little laugh that honestly made my skin crawl.